I will help you anytime.
All right, it's 6 p.m., so I'm going to call the meeting to order. You've got the agenda before you. Is there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. At this time, we're going to pause to seek guidance. At this time, I want to read the mission statement. It's to provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs while preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. Next thing on the agenda is the presentation delegation, and the first one is Gloria Banks from Grant Thornton. Can I have a motion for Gloria to come forward? Second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
He doesn't want Mr. Kelly to come too?
Yes. I'm just reading off what it says on the paper.
Oh no, I was just asking. So his new real name. I love it. Thank you very much. So I met with the audit committee, which is pretty much everybody last week, and we went through the statements in detail. So I'm just going to do a high-level overview this evening. Okay. Everybody has their copy of the financial statements. Okay, so on page 1 is the independent auditor's report. It's laid out in terms of responsibility. So paragraph 1 just lays out that these are the consolidated financial statements for the municipality of the District of Digby for March 31st, 2017. The second paragraph indicates that it is management's responsibility for the preparation of these financial statements, as well as to set a system of internal controls as they feel is appropriate during the year, to be able to make sure the financial information is free of material misstatement. As your auditors, it's our responsibility to be able to express our audit opinion on these consolidated financial statements, and we follow Canadian generally accepted auditing standards when we do this process. So we perform our procedures on the highest risk areas, and on a sample basis, we look at the internal controls to make sure that we understand how the system creates the financial information. We also look at all your accounting policies and your accounting estimates to make sure that we're in agreement with the process and how they're derived. And then at the top of page 2 is our audit opinion, that the consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the municipality of the District of Digby as at March 31st, 2017, and the results of its operations, changes in net financial assets, and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. And then there's another matter paragraph which just says that we include the detailed schedules for information purposes. And it is dated today, which will be the day, hopefully, that you'll approve them. And then I'm going to go right directly to page 4, which is the consolidated statement of operations and accumulated surplus. In terms of revenue for the year, you had set an original budget of $7,001,797. You came in at $7,080,440. So you're ahead of your budget on a revenue basis of about $78,000, which is pretty amazing on a $7 million budget that you came that close. Compared to the prior year, your revenue last year was $6,385,355, so it's up $695,000. There's a couple items in there. Of course, the new wind turbines are in operation, so they're generating revenue, as well as the capital project to construct the wind turbines as well is included as revenue because you brought the money out of your gas tax reserve to pay for a portion of the capital costs. So that's what creates the increase in your revenue from the prior year. In terms of the expenditures, you had budgeted $6,763,518, and you came in at $6,571,640, so a little bit under budget, and just a bit more than in the prior year. And for similar reasons, obviously, the operations of the wind turbine also create some expenses for you as well. But one of the other reasons why your expenses are lower than what you might expect is because the pension asset actually grew, which was a recovery of a previous expense. So that makes your expenses a little bit lower. Also, your garbage costs were up, and in lieu, the garbage revenue cost is up as well. And if we look specifically in the health, environmental health services, you'll see, in the environmental development services in the prior year, there was a contribution made to your health center, and that was the final commitment that you had towards that center. So that's why your expenses are down for environmental development. So at the end of the day, you had budgeted to have an annual surplus of $238,279, and you came in at $508,800. And we add that to the accumulated surplus at the beginning of the year, $14,600,524, and at the end of the year, your accumulated surplus is $15,109,324. Okay. And page 5 is the consolidated statement of financial position. So these are the assets and the liabilities. Broken down in the top half are what we consider to be financial assets. Those are items that are readily convertible to cash to pay for your liabilities, and also your liabilities. And at the bottom are what we consider your non-financial assets. So those are the assets that you've purchased or constructed over time to be able to deliver the services to your residents. So they're considered non-financial because they're not available for sale to generate money to pay your debts. So in your financial assets, the first 3 categories really are different types of cash. So cash that is your own in the bank. You also have your reserve funds, which have a treasury account. And then you also have money that's set aside that you've generated from surpluses from your tax sales. Those 3 items together are $4,697,326. They represent 76% of your current assets, your current financial assets. In terms of the other 2 items are your receivables, $967,000, which is made up of receivables from your taxes as well as from other third parties. And then the pension benefit excess, which increased during the year, which is why your expenses were lower, calculated by your actuary. You have in excess, for funding purposes, $494,420. So your total financial assets are $6,158,821. And then on your liability side, you would have the same number in your tax sale surplus as you have in your bank account, because it has to stay there until it becomes your money. And then you have payables and accruals of $801,188, and the biggest portion of that is your 4th quarter policing payment, which is about $300,000. And then you have the payables to the fire departments, which are really the reserves. And you have deferred revenue, which is money that you've received from your gas tax that hasn't been spent. It's saved for future capital projects. You did use some of it this year. And then your long-term debt is $1,460,000, and it's higher this year because of the debt that was taken out for the wind turbines. It's about $690,000, but your agreement with Nova Scotia Power to sell the results of the wind turbines to them should generate the money to pay down the debt. So you have a net financial asset position of $2,902,415. That means you have more financial assets than you need to pay all of your debt, whether it's next year's debt or the year after. So it's a very healthy position to be in. Your non-financial assets, so your tangible capital assets this year are $12,206,909, and that's the depreciated value, recognizing that they age over time and will need to be replaced. They grew over the prior year, about $1.2 million specifically on the wind turbines. So your total accumulated surplus is $15,109,324, which agrees to the previous page. So those are the 2 most important pages from the financial aspect. The rest are notes and supporting schedules, which we discussed at the audit committee. So if you have any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to approve.
I so move the financial statements from Grant Thornton for March 31st, 2017.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you.
I would like to say at our audit committee meeting, everything was so well laid out and all questions were answered. It would, just so the people realize that it wasn't just something we just looked at today, that it was an excellent meeting.
The next thing is going to be the FCM conference. We're going to have an update on that. You have a thing?
Okay, from what we had made a decision on, we're only gonna speak on certain things.
Yeah.
The first thing I wanted to speak about was, listening to the four party leaders, well, three party leaders, meaning the Greens, the, Prime Minister, and, Tom McClare. I thought they all did a great job, and it was very interesting, and I think when you're sitting there and you're getting the opportunity to really hear them, not on the TV, but listening to them, it's of great value, and also the opportunity is there to get some questions answered, which I think is wonderful. The other thing I wanted to comment on, I did do 2 study tours, but the Mosaic Canada 150, I would say anyone who has the opportunity to see what has been done for 150 across Canada into Ottawa, but the Nova Scotia one is coming to Annapolis Royal. So that will be moved to Annapolis Royal eventually. That was great. When it came to, for me, I went to workshops that pertain to our internet and the 100-mile blast. Actually, Matthew was in one of the ones that I was in. I found that we are ahead in a lot of ways in what was being said at that workshop. Do you agree, Matthew? Yeah. We are not standing being poor little Nova Scotia, poor little Digby. With our RAN, we are really going forward in there's other places that are going forward as well. But I was really impressed with what I was hearing at those workshops.
There's communities there that have that rely on a bandwidth of what would you say, 100 gigabytes per
Yes.
data.
Yeah.
And there's families, you don't realize in other parts of Canada, especially up north too, there's 12 people in a household, and they're all trying to get on the internet. It's fast internet, but they're only allocated 100 gigabytes.
Yeah.
You've got this community trying to get on it, the internet, and boom, it's gone, because they all used it after like 2 or 3 days, right? So we are going in the right direction, compared to like a lot of other communities. And then we're all in the same boat. You don't really realize it until you talk to everybody, but it's everywhere. It's just, we got to take the right steps, and the run's doing a great job, and I think
It just went host and hold with us, The other thing that I do want to comment that I did not attend, and I was sorry afterwards, was the breakfast fundraiser, the FCM Women in Municipal Government Scholarships, because Claire Duttridge, who was our UNSM president for such a short time because of her illness, was there and got the Anne McLean Award. And I thought I saw her, I got the opportunity to sit down and talk with Claire, and I really felt good because one of the other counselors came over and she says, Claire's been hoping to see you. Oh, and I went, because, we sort of kept in touch even with her illness. And, I was sorry that I didn't realize that, or I would have attended. As I said, attending the resolutions, attending our meetings were really well done. But I guarantee the others would have time, but I just wanted to hit, for me, the highlights was the political, and I can tell you, the internet was at Mosaic 150.
Encouraging, eh?
Oh my gosh.
I like hearing that. Yeah.
I was thinking, David, you would have enjoyed that little piece.
That little piece?
And it was 3 different
Was it in the
meetings.
city, though?
There was 3 different meetings, workshops around very similar, and like I said, I attended all 3.
Matt, you wanna add anything?
It was my first time. Took a lot in. I did mostly the study groups. I went to the internet thing. I did infrastructure to learn a little bit where the Liberals are going. They're really pushing to to get this infrastructure money out, $93 billion over 13 years. They can bring it up front, and instead of you waiting for it, the municipalities can look at that stuff up front. There was a youth forum there where I met the young black guy from Dartmouth, was it? Oh, you didn't remember the story on him?
Oh,
Yeah, talk to him for a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
He's a really nice guy. And, you know, and the outside stuff, I took out in the evening with the Parliament and you know, walked around the city, clean city, and took in a lot of sights that way. So, yeah, it was a really, really good experience. I got some stuff here for you guys too, I brought in.
So did I.
I'll just leave it up here for you guys to look through, and we can do some of this here if you want, but
I'm thinking about what we could do is leave it in the boardroom.
Yeah, I have,
Okay.
I have a bunch
Maybe
of
like
stuff
one
that I
spot,
brought
so
with
I got
me.
this dairy farmer book here. The
So did
150.
I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can leave that here for anybody who wants to look at stuff like that, so we'll put it in the,
I think we all, you know, one of the highlights about going to this conference is really going through the trade show.
Oh, gosh.
I get so much going through the trade show. So
yeah.
much out of it. Actually, today, I brought back one book that I gave to Greg Thomas. I mean, he's our contractor for solid waste, but it's not something that we would have a need for, but what it was for backup cameras and safety stuff that you put on your trucks. So I gave him the book, gave it to them today, and I've gotten a follow-up email from the person I talked to, and I just let him, he said he's gonna be down here in August to want to meet. I told him I got it for somebody else, and I said, well, they want to meet with you, and if so, set it up. But to me, it's important to do that because you get so much out of it, and
Yeah, I took stuff back to Waste Check into Dark,
yeah, and
you know.
every year that we go, we bring back new
Didn't you bring something
information.
back to Dark too? Or was
But,
it, what group?
It's the dark, but I haven't brought it up yet at all.
Okay, sorry.
I brought back some stuff on skateboard parks. I know we got a skateboard park, but that doesn't mean that that's gonna be all we ever see.
No, no.
And so there's information, I want this to go to the recreation department. I got some stuff here which is of interest to you. It's on, and it's also interest to you, because it's on trails, but washrooms.
Yes.
And there's a self-cleaning washroom, so.
Very expensive though, that's the
Very
only
expensive, I
problem.
know,
But I loved it.
yeah. But I brought the brochures back, and I'm gonna leave them in there. But to me, like this one here is a really, really nice one. This isn't the self-clean, but it's still a really nice washroom facility. And they have like that many different models, so.
And if you wanted a piece of candy, you could take it out of the toilet.
Another thing I brought back, which I
You mean
thought
like
was pretty
one-
cool, like we're doing
It was
trails
clean.
now, we're gonna need bridges, so there's a thing on bridges, like, maybe I'm not even gonna order from, but it'll give you some ideas on what we could do in the future. The other thing I like, and I got this for the recreation department, and well, I know we can't afford it right now, but I think down the road it'd be great to do, it's the water play.
Water
Yeah. The water,
Yeah,
the water park.
yeah, that's one of the things I brought back to Bob.
Did you bring that
Yeah.
back? Good. Because I thought that was good, and there's another one here on a custom ice surface, if you wanna do like a pop-up ice surface that's in the winter time. So,
Which is something Niles is looking at.
Yeah, we discussed that, but right now,
and then there's one
Not
here
that
on
kind of
different things, like more for an urban center, but it's park benches and, so I'll leave all this in the boardroom.
what you want me to take to Bob,
Yeah,
just give it to me and I'll take to Bob.
after everybody's had a chance to look at it, we
Yep.
can move it over. Then there's another washroom one, that's box in a box or whatever. And I think this is probably the one you were looking at, really fancy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was 100,000.
Yeah, that's what I said, it was a little bit high for our taste.
But one of the things that I thought was really good, and you mentioned, you touched on the fact that we had the leaders that spoke to us. This was the first time in probably ever that I've been going that the Prime Minister actually spoke to the delegation.
Oh, no,
Harper never did.
Harper didn't, but the previous did.
Gretchen?
Yeah.
I don't remember Gretchen. I mean, Paul Martin did, but that was before he became Prime Minister.
I'm sure Gretchen was there and spoke.
I can't remember it, but either way, it's been a long, long time.
Oh, it's been a lot
since
too
the
long.
Prime Minister ever came and spoke to the delegation.
That's good news, because,
Well,
you want
and,
to talk about all this government.
He also wanted to touch on a new funding program that they're trying to implement. And that funding program is the one that was in the budget bill, the omnibus bill, that kind of got things delayed because of the way they were trying to push it through. But anyway, it's to set up a fund for infrastructure funding going forward. So he spoke on that, and then when the Minister of Infrastructure was there and he spoke, and it was nice to listen to him speak. Here's a guy that comes out of the city, and before he got involved in politics, he was a bus driver in the city transit. And ran into him afterwards with his wife, and nice guy to talk to. And but here's something here that I really, really liked a lot. It's not something that fits into what we do right now, or it's not the ideal for going forward on performing arts in the area, even if we give it to a business person. And that's a pop-up stage. A mobile stage that you take around, and you just go, and then you can have a concert, or you could have any kind of an event there on it, be it theater or whatever. And to me, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, the stage when they
The recreation
is
or
very expensive.
apartment or anybody like that, anything like that.
What's what we have? We have a portable stage.
You know,
It's not a pop-up one like that.
Oh, it's not a pop-up, but it's portable.
Assemble and disassemble
Yeah.
it and set it up.
okay.
But it's still
Still
portable.
have it, yeah.
But they would have this in bigger centers where they would go around and have different festivals and events, or where they would rent it out or whatever. So that I thought was kind of neat. And then the other thing was the electric bicycle. Did you saw that?
Yes.
Yeah, bicycle.
Yeah, pretty cool. It's got a battery pack right in there,
Oh, yeah.
and you recharge it at night. And I thought it was pretty cool. Actually, they had one they gave away, so they had a draw on it. So,
Almost.
but it was interesting sitting on the internet sessions. I was in the same one that you two were in. I was in the back of the room, and Matt, I was glad to see you speak up on and ask some questions.
Yeah.
They're very, I think some of the people in the room didn't understand what we were talking about, but
But the ones in the front did.
yeah, they did, and that was what counted. So,
Yeah.
but overall, though, I thought it was a good conference. But I will say one thing on a negative aspect. This is the 150th in Canada. And I would have thought that we were having this conference in Ottawa, and they would have had a special event or something. It was nothing unless you count the actors that were there to say that they were Johnny McDonald.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Oh, and the tree. They planted the tree for 150.
Well, they plant a tree every year.
I know, but this one was for 150.
Special tree.
It was a special tree.
Special, all right. But it was really disappointment. I mean, like, to see that they, like, even in the banquet, Winnipeg blew them away.
Yeah.
As far as I was concerned. And where they dropped the ball as far as I was concerned, is they have a light show on Parliament buildings, and they did it for July 1st. The Thursday night that we were there, they had done a test run.
Yeah.
Nobody,
Did what?
a test run
Okay.
of the show, what they were going to do on July 1st. They didn't tell us.
No.
So we could have went there and watched it. So they did it on Thursday night. I heard about it on Friday. We went there Friday night to watch it, and wait all night till it gets dark, and nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
So
Didn't work?
they didn't have it.
It was just a test.
You must have went on the first one.
They did the test. They did the test on Thursday night. Didn't tell anybody they were doing it, and
I can tell you, it must be 14 years ago in Ottawa when they had one in Ottawa, and they let all the FCM delegates know that on Parliament Hill, they were doing a light show. And you went up, and there was places you could sit, and it was fabulous. And it must have been for their practice. They said it would be shown again July 1st and then every so often. Yeah. But FCM at that time were told, we were all notified so we could attend. And yeah, I went and really enjoyed it.
That's a shame.
Because the way they, you know, it's like watching Disney, you know, that's,
But it was a disappointment that they didn't do
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, outside of that, I thought it was a good conference. They had good sessions.
a lot of rural this
Yeah,
time.
and,
Was there?
yeah, and they're coming around really good.
Because I remember the one I went to years ago, there was minimal. Very minimal.
It's changed.
And next year, the conference is gonna be in Halifax. So everybody knows.
Close.
Something you may want to consider, because, they all do a really good job in Halifax when they host it. They always have. But, anything you wanna add?
No, I don't think so. I think, again, I think what impressed me, and I think I said the same thing last year, was the first time that I've seen so many federal ministers, even when we were in Winnipeg. But I think like the minister responsible for infrastructure, he was around all the time, like the sessions and so. And yeah, I think I agree that certainly broadband, or the lack thereof, is something that's common to a lot of the rural areas, like the internet. So that is certainly a hot topic. There was a session, I was trying to find some notes on it, that one that we went to, the innovation fund.
Well, that's what the, Prime Minister was speaking on.
Yeah, and then there was a session on it.
Yeah, there was.
That we
So that
attended.
was-
Yeah.
So we did some roundtable discussions and just like really thinking about different projects, and that was quite interesting.
Another session we took into was on public safety broadband.
Yeah.
And where they're going with that. So, it was interesting, and there was some good topics there.
And they had a good closing keynote.
Yeah.
John Montgomery.
Montgomery.
I've heard him, that's the third time I've had the opportunity to hear him. And really well done. Yeah, I had my picture taken with him, not this time, but
Who is he? Is he a personality of some sort, or?
He won the skeleton gold medal at the Vancouver Olympics. Remember? He had the pitcher of beer, went down, won the gold.
red hair.
I sort of don't have television that's not like cable.
Oh.
I don't know. I haven't seen a commercial in 5 years. let
He
alone
does Amazing Race.
local.
You watch Amazing Race Canada?
Pardon?
You watch Amazing Race Canada?
No.
No, he's on
You
that.
ever
He's
seen
the
it?
host.
I saw it once.
Okay, he's the host of that show.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
That covers it.
Okay, we're gonna move on then, to approval of minutes for the council minutes for June the 26th.
So moved.
Second.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Old business, Dr. Tudor.
Nope.
Man, no. That's where we're off. That's the board member. I have none. New business, letter of authority, Roadhead, Smith Cove to Weymouth, and I guess Jeff's gonna pass this
I
out.
was gonna say, I had nothing in my
No,
bag.
I-
Some information. This file it started to be extremely fast moving, the week before I left for vacation. So we had an idea of things on the agenda, so Jonathan has done a lot of work while I was on vacation to help provide information that I threw into a report here, so that you had something. I'm just gonna go through some of the highlights verbally, if that's okay. So, last time we talked about this was in December, shortly after the province had rescinded the community group that had the letter of authority. And Bob and I had a conference call with DNR and some of their representatives. And at that time, they weren't supplying us with a lot of information. They seemed to be putting up more roadblocks, I guess, than anything, and highlighting the length of trail. And for us at that time, that was pre us hiring a trail coordinator, and the length of the trail, the staff resources, and potential financial resources were a little intimidating. So I think we had all agreed to just sit and wait to see what the province did, if anything. And the province wasn't necessarily doing anything since then. No group has been able to secure a long-term letter of authority. The Digby County ATV Club has received a number of short-term, small section letter of authorities to go in. You need a letter of authority to do any work on the trail legally. So they've been working with the local DNR office to go in, and when an area needs work, they get a 30-day letter to go in and do a cleanup. That's all that's been happening.
People are allowed to use the trail, though, in the meantime.
They are, but they are using a linear piece of Crown-owned land. They aren't using a trail.
Oh.
Just, again, it's kind of a legal thing for the province,
Yeah,
but they are managing a piece of Crown land. They aren't managing a trail. If there is an obstruction or something happens that's a safety concern, they would be more likely to block the trail
linear.
than to try and keep the continuity. So recently, a couple of things have reinvigorated the discussions around this trail. Our hiring of a full-time trail coordinator, the Digby County ATV Club took rapid notice of that and have been in to see him and do. I think that was the first tour he was offered and took them up on, was a tour of the rail bed. And they've been in to see him and open up a line of communication. And the town of Digby held a public meeting end of May, start of June, recently.
Just as soon as he was hired.
Yeah, that
It was
is,
the
yeah, it
first
was his
night.
first night. Yeah, so yeah, the end of June.
June 19th.
About the portion of the trail in town. So that is the same people in the province that are dealing with that. So again, with Jonathan coming on board, with the ATV club being involved in that discussion, a number of these things kind of got the discussions going again on what is going to happen with this big section of trail from Bear River to Sissibu River. So Jonathan, either him and I together or him over the last week, we met with Bob Howell, Keith Camo with the Digby ATV Club, Kevin Lombard, he's the ATV Nova Scotia board member for Southwest Nova Scotia, Corey Robar, he's the provincial coordinator for the ATV Association, Laura Barkhouse, who's the trail coordinator with the Municipality District of Lunenburg, Maurice Camo, the local guy with DNR, and Meg Cumming, the local rep for Community Cultures and Heritage of the province. So in talking with all of those people and looking at some of the different models that are out there on how these trail groups have been run around the province, what's worked and what hasn't, the best model that they've seen is when the municipality or the municipal unit steps in for the letter of authority, and then you form your partnerships around it. So that's some of the reasons we had all those conversations was to talk to the Digby County ATV Club. Would they be willing to enter into a maintenance agreement, right? That's one of the most challenging aspects of a 45 kilometer worth of trail. And they are willing to enter into a maintenance agreement. The other thing that the municipality having a letter of authority, it was advised, and I think would be a good step to form an advisory committee. So it's the same thing that you have as a community group, but this is an advisory committee that you can be sure that you have geographically Smiths Cove, Weymouth, and communities in between represented, as well as the different groups. The hikers, the ATVers, bicyclists, we've got a few horse users, equestrian, and make sure that you form an advisory group to help engage all of those different communities and interest groups. And again, we have a role then, sometimes when the community groups get formed, unless we put staff members on the community group, which is challenging sometimes with counselors, our opinion around the community group discussions can be a little bit challenging in administering them. And what all three gentlemen from the ATV side of the world said, the ATV clubs don't administer well. They cut brush really well, they do grading, they do on-site stuff. They don't want to apply for grants. They don't want to be administrative, where we fit in perfectly in that scenario with helping with the administration side of it. We talked with a number of the officials with the province on our concerns over funding, and their comments were, right now, the trail world is probably the most grant-rich area of development. Not all of them are huge grants, but between grants that we would be eligible for, or the ATV club, and be able to partner, that they said that is one of the areas that is more grant funding available than for most other recreation programs. None of the ATV gentlemen feel there is large-scale work. There's lots of small scale work, and the trail hasn't received a whole lot of attention in the last couple of years. But they feel with the ATV club support that we wouldn't be looking into great cost. They're not looking at re-graveling 45 kilometers. They know that it's got to be a realistic expectation of operating. So yeah, I think what's changed since December is we now have Jonathan on staff. So we knew that this conversation was coming. This would fit right into his regular duties to manage this like another trail, to manage the advisory group and work with these groups, and he's very comfortable with that. And the funding, while there's no written commitment, I think there is funding, and Bob feels the same, that it's bits and pieces all over the place, but it would be small projects all over the place. So the other thing, I guess, that we were finally able to get a copy of one of these letter of authorities. We've been kind of going into this blind, but that clarified that the letter of authority is not ownership. That is, DNR remains the owner. It'd be more like us leasing the trail. They don't provide any funding or insurance. However, there's no commitment. If we aren't happy in a year or 2 years or 5 years, 30-day notice is the exit clause, and you just rescind your letter of authority. So that isn't quite as intimidating. Some municipalities have acquired, bought for a dollar, bought the land from the province, and that has been a model that, unless you aggressively wanted to do that, there's been a few towns that have done that. The province doesn't really recommend it a lot to bite off, but having that exit clause, I think, for me getting into this is a nice option if things, if there was challenges or the funding was more than we anticipated. So based on all that information, I would like to recommend at this time that the municipality of Digby send the province an expression of interest letter, and that starts the process that they would then get in touch with us to acquire the letter of authority for 45.9 kilometers of abandoned rail bed between Bear River and Sissipiu.
I'm gonna make it a motion and we can discuss. I so move that we send the province a letter, an expression of interest letter to acquire a letter of authority for the 45.9 kilometers of abandoned railroad bed between Bear River and Sissipiu River.
Second.
Second.
Question.
Looks good. Well, about the ownership, I thought the province had taken, they didn't take over ownership of the railroad?
They do, but they don't manage it as a trail. They manage it as crown land.
Yeah. But here it says the DNR still owns, are still the owners.
They will be, they are.
Yeah, they would still be the owner if we have the letter of authority. We're just managing the trail.
Yeah, well, I thought the province didn't take over those railroads from DNR.
Sorry.
DNR, oh, sorry, yeah, DNR is the Provincial
Provincial
Department
Department of
of
Natural
Natural
Resources.
Oh,
Sorry.
You're saying
Sorry.
it's, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's a great idea. It's a great thing to happen, that we need to happen. I know that Keith Kamal has been hoping this would take place from the ATV club. I think now that we do have a full-time trail coordinator, Jonathan will do an excellent job, because before we were just pulled too tight to even think about it. And I think this is what our taxpayers like to see happening. Valuable assets for the community.
Any other questions? We have a couple things. We talked about a committee. Like, I could see our members that sit on the open space committee serving on that committee, but if it's, I mean,
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, like, it's just another responsibility for that open space committee, but I would envision that. What it would do too, I think, it would allow us to have more say as to how that trail system is developed, because when I was campaigning last fall in September, up on Robinson Weir Road, the railway bed goes, and there's people living here, and they have to drive over that railway bed. And what's happened is the ATVs are buzzing through, not slowing down or stopping for the driveways. And the concern that I had this raised to me twice, the concern was that sometime they're gonna be coming out of the driveway or going in, somebody's gonna be coming by, it's gonna be a bad accident. So if we do, for the better term, police or give a letter of authority for the use of this trail, I'd like to see consideration put in on having some buffers put in to slow people down where these driveways are, and maybe have some stop signs up and let people be aware that they're there. And you talked about responsibility for the maintenance of it. That also includes the bridges.
There's the two small bridges on it, yes.
With the jog and bridge.
Yes, sorry, the jog and bridge.
And the jog and bridge is on
That is part of it, and there's two small bridges, on the way down to Weymouth that are very, very small.
it. But they're like, I guess what I'm trying to raise is just like, that part of the responsibility would be the maintenance of the bridge. And
Jogging bridge,
the jog and bridge, yes, that's part of it.
The walking, the part that they added,
To go across.
oh yeah, just the walking piece.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
the walking
okay.
piece.
Where the rail
The
bed is.
old
Yeah,
rail,
that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, well, I just want you to know.
Yeah.
And the other component to it will be after it's built, is that, the provincial government's gonna be putting bridges in across the 101 highway. So are we gonna be responsible for the maintenance of those after they're built? I don't know, I'm just asking the question.
The one that they're gonna put at the,
We're gonna put a number down.
that's gonna be TIR, that's not part of
that's
the
the
trail.
structure they're installing.
I know they're installing it, but it's part of the
Good
trail.
question to find out.
It'll become, but we can't get answers to those questions, some of this, until we write,
Yeah.
asking for the letter for,
Yeah, you
our
gotta,
letter of expression of interest allows us to enter in to get the next round. It doesn't mean it's all done. That will be a multi-month long process. And that is a very good example of what TIR plans to do with the ownership and maintenance of that structure, right? I would think because it's going to span TIR land, it's gonna have to stay in their name. But like you said, who maintains the top piece of it, will be a good point. Now, you brought up one of the greatest challenges, even when the past community group was in place, is complaints would come into recreation in this building on ATVs in that Robinson Weir Road area, and you have no authority without the letter of authority to do anything. And DNR can't do anything if someone else has, you end up in this really awkward
police, they
position.
have
So
to
that's why it was
win
kind of one of those, we have a seat at the table, or it's our table, we are able to influence those things a lot better.
Is there any other questions for? If not, there's a motion on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Wow, 45 kilometers extra for our trails, huh?
Possibly, yeah.
Putting ourselves on the map with this sucker. Right on.
The next new business is Belva Motors Golf Tournament Hold Sponsorship Request. This came into me and I sent it forward to Linda to have put on the agenda. When I got the call on this, I let them know that we don't put teams in golf tournaments anymore, but we have been sponsoring holes. So they put in a letter requesting for a hole sponsorship. This year, the funds that they raise are going to go to the Clare Health Center Foundation. They've spread it around. I know the foundation in Digby received it in the past as well. But so I think every year they pick a different group that they give the money to. So what's the feeling of the council?
Oh, I'm gonna make the motion, I so move that we sponsor a hole for $300, for the Bellevue Motor, annual Bellevue Motors Golf Tournament, in which the proceeds are going to the Clare Health Center Foundation.
Second? Just before we move on, just in that too, you can see that they've raised over $385,000 for the whole group. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. The next thing on the agenda is a vision checkup. Vision checkup, remember? I guess if you do.
Well, I had received an email earlier in June that Gordon McIntosh was coming back to Nova Scotia in the fall and wanted to know if we'd be interested in doing some sort of like we had committed that we would do a checkup with our vision statement, and we're probably about halfway through it. We've gone through a lot of the now priorities, and there's a few next ones, but we're probably quickly going to go through those. He is already committed, I just had that down there, he's going to Colchester September 6th to 11th, and then he's in Charlottetown from September 11th to 12th. So those sort of the first 2 weeks in September he's busy. He did indicate in December he's here, he's going to Antigonish on the December 11th. I've also, some of the other workshops that he does is on rural partnering and that type of thing, and I've sent it through a couple times to the town, but they don't seem to be interested. But I think it might be worth us to continue with our vision and go forward with that.
When we had the joint meeting with Claire, they seemed very interested in that joint. I think, I personally, this is, maybe we can't afford it, but I'd like to see us do ours, but I'd like to see us have that joint, even if it's with Claire, which is, you know, or even offer it to Annapolis. I'm just saying, you know, if we're talking partnership, it would be nice to see Digby County do it, but I'm just saying, we need ours too. We need our separate. But like if we could do ours maybe in September, or one in September and the other in December, it wouldn't matter to me.
To be honest, I think with Gordon, if we could do a half-day checkup with him. We've already done our strategic plan not that long ago, and if we had a half day with him to, you know, touch on where we are and everything, and then we had a day with him with our neighbors in the town and Claire.
We might need, give him 2 days.
Well, whatever.
I would want him. I don't want him to try to crunch stuff.
No, but I agree with you. I'd like to see us try to do something with Claire in the town of Digby and send it out. And I'd rather see it in December than I would in September.
Yeah, it's generally busy.
Well, I have no problem. I'm just, you know.
That gives more time for everybody to maybe put some thought into it.
I just think it would be wonderful, and it would give everyone lots of time. If the letter went out now with some possible dates.
What I'll do first is I'll check with him to get sort of budget, and that way when we do approach, well, for both of them, the first thing they're going to ask is how much is it going to cost. And we could host something here, so that we're not doing anything overnight. And I'll check to him what kind of timeline he sees is necessary.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
You don't need a motion or anything for that, do we?
No.
The next thing on the agenda under new business is the Red Bear Healing Home funding request.
It sounds like an interesting concept of what they're doing, and like they said, they couldn't necessarily say it's in Digby, but it's all over. I would be willing for the $200 to give them that assistance for this year. You know, it's such a benefit, and we have a lot of low income in our area.
I'm dealing with people with no phones, no power, no internet, all the time, and I wouldn't mind having a little more information on this, because there's a few people I would right away like to go, hey man, you can use a phone to call someone or an emergency. I gotta find out more details.
Tons of information.
No kinds of
I don't think there's any more information than that.
Well, I just don't understand the technology.
You have to have a phone, right?
You have to have a phone, and they provide you with free voicemail, is what it is.
Voicemail.
Free
Yeah.
voicemail.
So what's voicemail? That's what I don't really understand.
I call you up, you're not home, I leave you a message.
Oh, so they can call someone and say, hey, I'm blah, 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 but there's no conversation, it's voicemail. So I'm not
So
entirely
you
sure.
leave a message.
Just leave messages.
It's a
It's a
number
me-
you call. You don't have to have a phone. It's a number you call, and it leaves you voicemail. So if you need the doctor or something like that.
Oh,
and
okay,
you
now
go
I
to
understand.
somebody's
Sorry.
house, you can go to the library, somebody with a phone or a cell phone, grab it, call the one you
That
have
was the
number,
part I didn't quite
put
get.
in your PIN,
Your
and it
code.
gets you for your code, and it gets you into your voicemail. Then you know you have an appointment on, or if you're looking for a job and stuff like that.
I like that.
Yeah, I guess I was wrong. You don't have to have a phone. It's a connection for people that are phoneless.
Okay, that's what I thought, all right,
Yeah,
okay.
you don't have any.
Man, I really.
So,
Go ahead.
I will so move that we give Red Bear Funeral Home, the $200 for, this year.
I'll second it.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Yeah, this is something. Yeah, I got people that's work for this for sure.
The next thing on the agenda, under 8.5, is B network free Wi-Fi, and request for us to, be a advertiser on the network.
Yeah, they're having 6,000 users a day. Right now, they're having 6,000 unique users a day, and it's people sort of wandering through the downtown. It really seems to be it's a big catching all the tourists. They do about 1,000, there are a lot of them. So I don't know how much it costs to advertise, but from what I was hearing, it sounded like an awfully good platform as far as new people, new visitors.
I think it's a wonderful idea, but I would really like to talk with Mr. Cardy, at a meeting, to see what we could advertise, what could Dark advertise, that type of thing. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'd like to see us, but I need that conversation with Mr. Cardy from B Network.
Well, yeah, and my concern is the cost. I mean, it's a lot of money, yeah, it's $300 a month.
It's a lot of money.
And it's, you get 48 publications a day for that, but you only get 2 ad changes a month. And, and your price protected for 3 years. But I mean, $300 a month, $3,600 a year. That's, when you think about what we
I
do.
thought the annual was $300 a
No,
year.
it's broken down monthly at $300 a month.
Oh, because I had read it under annual subscription, that's what it meant.
No.
If you get an annual, you're saving $300.
Oh, okay,
Actually, it's $450 a month.
It's
But
$450 a
if
month.
you get
if
if you commit to a year, it's $300 a month. And what I understand this is like it's the free Wi-Fi downtown, but this is how they're paying for it through advertising. So I think the advertising is geared towards businesses. I mean, we have a lot of other means where we get our information out for free without having to
And if having that many hits a day, then maybe the businesses would.
I think it's a great idea for businesses that want to be able to advertise.
But that's why I'd like to hear from him and say where it's a benefit for the municipality.
Well, I think we're the ones that should do that. I mean, like that. Other
No,
than
but from what he's doing, like, are we able to, through Dark, say, a special soccer game tonight, or there's a special.
Problem is, it's only people that are downtown that are actually even gonna pick up on this. No one else.
Yeah.
You don't want to pick it up downtown, you can only change it twice. So you say, okay, there's a soccer game tonight, you want to advertise that for 2 weeks out of the month. It's a lot of money to have 2 advertisements a month. Any change, and that's your change. I've looked into this before personally. I don't know, I think it's a little high. I'm working a little bit smaller myself, but.
The Dark does a great job with Facebook. I mean,
Oh, they do.
out there. I mean, things are out there immediately. And I think
Have a big
people would
sign-
see
have a big
that
sign out front there.
before they see something on an opening page of a Wi-Fi.
I think it's a great job what they've done. I mean, it's really awesome.
I think a lot of people are going to find it a bit pricey.
That advertising a little pricey. They'll find their niche, and I hope they do. Because I think what they've done is great. I just, yeah, I think they're a little high.
I'm sorry.
They're a little high on their advertising. I hope they find their niche. They will. They'll work with that, but
I can
for
see
me,
some
it's
of
a
the
little high.
whale watches and the lodge maybe on the islands being interested in something like this, so I mentioned to them.
Well, it'd be good for that because ideally you're gonna attract tourists to actually go on Wi-Fi, so these tourism businesses, or the business sector.
Well, that's that crew.
That's who you're trying to
That crew
market
they're looking
to.
for.
So,
Yeah, just for a few months here.
but I really don't see how it fits the way we promote ourselves or reach out to people. But, I mean, we could have Michael come in and talk to us about it, but I'd rather wait and see how it's gonna work out first and then decide, is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Yeah. Because, I'm not saying, it's not something we wouldn't do, but I mean, it'd be nice to see how it's gonna work out. That was all for new business. We're gonna move now to the Chief Administrative Officer's report. And we've got I'll read off the meeting reminders. July 31st and August the 7th, we have no meeting. On August the 14th at 5 p.m., we have Committee of the Whole. On August the 21st, August the 28th, and September the 4th, there's no meeting. September 11th, we have Committee of the Whole. September the 18th at 5 p.m., we have a meeting with PIR, and at 6 o'clock, we have our bylaw and policy meeting. And on September the 25th, we have a council meeting at 6 o'clock. Under decision directions, there isn't anything. Just an update on the action items. You'll notice that under the Canada Day free ridership transport declared offered, I really think that we've got to put some more thought into whether we do this again.
Yeah, $70, $80 a
It's
person.
almost
If you're not gonna use it, if you're not gonna use it, then
What's the
just
point?
have there, run the road back and forth.
No, $79 a person.
That's what I thought, that's terrible.
So, I mean, we tried and we
Yeah,
tried
we
it
did.
for 2 years.
We've had it on for, what, maybe 3 years.
It
now.
was
It's
3
not
years.
something that's brand new and they don't know about it.
No.
It has been going on and they're not gonna use it. and-
Actually, the couple, I must have been the couple that used it, I was talking to, and they had said that they went down with their son, and then they had a wonderful day, and, but their comment was, to me, was that it was only those three on the vehicle when they went down, and there was the only two, and they said, Linda, those are more people than just us. And I said, well, I would hope so, because they said, that, they thought it was sort of, they were concerned it might have been very expensive.
Yeah.
And, actually, the people, the gentleman was originally from Weymouth, and they live in Binghamton. They were appreciative that it happened, but they did have a concern.
I was kind of like, I saw the bus go by a couple and there wasn't anybody on it, like, why for that time? And just kind of wondering, okay, we dropped them off somewhere else, or is the people using it?
Yeah, I mean, once you read it, it was there.
I can't recall, I remember our last meeting with, the bus people there from Kenta.
In transit, yeah.
About, maybe restricting some of the hours due to lack of this just makes me think of that.
No, this was the holiday, and we ended up getting transport declared.
I remember that.
Okay.
It's a little off topic, but just
We are
thinking
working
of public
diligently
transportation
on
averages
how
off
to
charge.
increase our ridership.
Yeah. What's that?
We are working diligently on how to increase the ridership all over.
Well,
Everybody's down.
okay.
Everybody's
I'm just
down.
wondering.
Well, when we get
if
to it,
we're-
I'll talk.
We might be losing this kind of money every day with the evening run on the transport, the King's Transit. If there's nobody on it, I thought the last few hours it was a recommendation. That was something.
That was
like
for Let's Go too, and that was only on 1 day a week.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
well,
we're
I
gonna
think
come back to
because
8
we
o'clock.
had, yeah, because we had kept it, till 8, yeah, they were gonna review
They're
it in
gonna
the fall.
finish it 8 instead of running into the next one.
Are we going to be discussing that anytime soon? Would you
I'll
mind, can I throw that on the next?
Our meeting's Wednesday night, I'll speak to him about it.
Yeah, maybe if we can get some numbers in regards to it. Just got me thinking, well, 500 people, well, we ought to be doing that more often than we think. If we got empty buses going past 8 o'clock, I was just curious why he made that suggestion, what the numbers might be.
Well, he made that suggestion because of Annapolis.
Yeah, that too.
The other thing is too, you gotta consider is that a lot of students that go to Upper Clements Park may use that bus service to get home at night.
They do. Right now, that's big time.
Right.
And the other thing that the
That's the sort of info I'd like
students
to
have
find
been
out.
doing has been going to the Y.
Yeah.
And people
Big
going to
time in
jobs
winter.
too, is something I'm particularly.
Well, that's why I was
Yeah.
referring to the Upper Clements, like, the bus, that's why I have to run as late as it does.
Okay, it's going for those guys.
Well, it's bringing them home.
Of course. Yeah,
It takes
somebody-
them up.
Somebody recently saying how good it was that we had the bus for, so people could get to work.
I've seen the bus leave
They told
Digby
that
with
recently.
a bunch of people on it with their Upper Clements shirts on, so
Yeah.
you know that they're using it. So,
Big time.
yeah.
Well, I still think it might be worth.
But you gotta remember, whatever we decide, you can't go be that, like.
Can't change your mind 2 weeks later.
Yeah, but the ARB won't let you. Like, it's
No, I know.
this or this, and it's $500 when you wanna change, and.
I was just thinking maybe if it's mostly seasonal workers, maybe to look even at the winter.
Did you just hear what I said?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think they won't let you change things seasonally.
No, as long as you pay and do the thing, and then they make a decision. And then when you do that, you pay again, and then they make a decision. But I will double check what I'm saying.
I'd be curious if they could even break it down to like hourly, like what's the cost in a day. So we could, maybe.
I doubt if they're gonna be able to do that.
Anyway,
But I will
find
talk.
out.
Yeah.
Any questions on any of the updates for the action items? Anybody? I just wanna say thank you for getting the scrubber in place in Smith Cove. It's working well, I take it.
It's working very well, yes.
Yeah. That's good. Any other questions on that? If not, update on capital projects.
We did hear that, the contractor had moved his gear into Smith Cove today.
You did?
Contractor for the project in Smith Cove.
Yeah.
Okay, update on corporate now priorities. Most of our now have been finished, we're in the process of being finished, and, I guess the black arrow going up is moving some next items up into the corporate priorities.
After a while, I've moved a lot out,
Yeah.
and I've moved a lot of the next up into the now.
Yeah.
One thing I've reached out to the clerk for the village of Weymouth to see if they'd be interested in having, like, that was one of the things that we wanted to meet with the village commission in Weymouth, if they'd be interested in meeting with us prior to our meeting that we have in October in Weymouth. I thought that would be a good opportunity, so I'm just waiting to hear back.
No other questions, we're gonna move on to approval of the June 2017 payables of $734,501.10. Motion to approve. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Income and expense report, May and June. Got a chance to look at that? Any questions? If not, we'll move on. We've got correspondence. You had a EMAN's June newsletter. National Drowning Prevention Week. Data, thank you. Upper Clements Park Society, thank you. Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner. Princess Kentville, thank you. Smart Energy Learnings from Sweden. By the way, when I looked at that, I didn't really see anything special. RCMP 2016 year in review. There's a copy in the boardroom, and I have another copy here that I'm going to put in there. Princess Hansport, a thank you, and the Honorable Derek Lumbercat, Minister of Affairs, letter stating that they're giving us a little bit more money.
Yay.
Wish there had been a couple more zeros in
I had to do that one twice.
Standing committees of council recommendations. Bylaw and policy recommendations, 2017-2018 capital budget. Had a chance to review that from the meeting we had the other day.
So I move acceptance for the 2017-2018 capital budget.
We have a seconder.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Trip to China, that's still tentative.
Mm-hmm.
Have a motion?
For the,
Potentially, but if it happens, the,
I move
funding.
that, I move that Jimmy, if it becomes, sorry, there we go. There we go. Move that Board of Alpine go to channel if Representative Claire in the town of Digby determined there was a benefit to the municipal units.
Just to update you on that, I talked to Ronnie, or I emailed Ronnie LeBlanc, he was away last week. I'm meeting with him on Wednesday, and trying to get Ben at the same meeting to discuss this. Still trying to decide if it's the right time to go, and also to let you know too that the Premier will be going at that time. And another thing I wanted to note is Annapolis is sending a counselor this time. Timothy's not going, and Michael Dunn's going. So they're starting to let other people go now that the warden's been there. So that's good. So anyway, I still want to talk to Ronnie and Ben about this because I'm still not 100% sure it's the right time, but we'll wait and see.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Committee of the whole recommendations, there isn't any. Audit recommendations, doctor recruiting reserve.
That's $200,000, right?
To cap the reserve at $200,000 and anything surplus moving into our capital.
So moved.
Seconder on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. We're going to now move into the advisory committee's reports. The Digby Source Water Advisory Committee, Councilor Ross. Another meeting. Heritage Advisory Committee, Deputy Warden Gregory, Councilor Ross.
We just had a meeting, and there is going to be a recommendation coming to council on some work being done at the church, St. Thomas Church in Weymouth. But we were still looking on some things, and we're having another meeting again to take care of that.
Okay. How are their heritage buildings, like the private owners, are they struggling to keep the buildings up?
Well, that is why, once council had agreed, that's a great thing, that we're gonna give them 1,000 up to, for 5 years, to the 5,000. There is 11 property owners,
Yes.
and,
Ross keeps it all.
yeah.
Anything else on that? If not, the Planning Advisory Committee, Deputy Warden Gregory, Councilor Ross and Tudor.
We have not met since
Meeting.
our last meeting.
Okay. Joint RCMP Advisory Board, Deputy Warden Gregory, Councilor Ross.
We have not met.
Okay. Remo Advisory Committee, myself and Deputy Warden Gregory. We haven't had a meeting since last council. But it's nice to see Bruce still sending out the updates on the weather. Western Regional Housing Authority, Andrea Teed. I don't know if she's had a meeting yet, has she?
No, she hasn't, they meet in September.
Okay. Age-friendly community, there hasn't been no meeting. Atlantic Mayor's Congress, there's been no meeting. Digby and Area Affordable and Supportive Housing Group, Deputy Warden Gregory.
Other meeting in September.
Okay. Digby Area Board of Trade, Councilor Duder.
I went to a meeting a few days ago. It was supposed to be the unveiling of the new website, but it for whatever reason that didn't happen. Instead, it was sort of a discussion about the internet, the free internet downtown, how that was working out, and plus some discussion in regards to the specifics to the logo. They want to update the logo. And so there's discussion of the coloration. There's a little bit of disappointment, I think, that there wasn't very many people, but this is the top of peak. They're at peak season now. People don't have 10 seconds. People are working 18-hour days. So they made a discussion not to have the next meeting until September when people in case of
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Digby Annapolis Development Committee, we've had no meeting. Digby Area Learning Association, Councilor Manzer.
We don't have a meeting in June or July and August at our last meeting. There's some reorganization and we had to let the, coordinator or the guy, Terry Musgrave, we had to let him go. And the bookkeeper has taken over the responsibilities, so he's taken on, he's also doing books and running the organizations. Dan Harvey is involved in reorganization, looking at what they do, how they can do it better, how they can change, where they can get maybe a new revenue funds from, along with a couple of people from Grant Thornton. And so that was going to be, or there was the first recommendation that we downsize their administrations.
Okay. Any questions?
But the child care is still.
See, the numbers are really strong there.
I don't know how that's going to be affected with this new program coming in. I don't know if Digby is up for one of those.
3 or 4.
Really 4 kids, but in a couple of years' time, that takes a segment of the population, and we're just at the point now where there's, in the last few months, they've made a little bit of money maybe going ahead. We can take out 8 or 10 kids, or whatever, and take sports.
have to downsize again, maybe.
Maybe so.
Even saying that, though, the students would still have to go somewhere after school.
Yeah, they still gotta,
That's true.
Still gotta go somewhere after school, but it's not heaven for the whole day either. And then holidays and weekends and March break and Christmas break, I don't know. I doubt the kids are gonna be going to school at that time, so they gotta have somewhere else.
That's right.
That was kind of tapped in with the NFCC, aren't they? Yeah. So they,
Somewhat, they
they looked into like any kind of like, I don't know, like a communication business.
I couldn't tell you for sure. I know they do work back and forth together, and they offer some courses to some of the NSCC students, and then NSCC will take over some of the Dallas, put them in their courses when they can. So there is a lot of giving, working back and forth there with NSCC.
Yeah, they looked into just something, I don't know, maybe a place where you come to Digby to learn, maybe it be, learn to run an excavator or.
I'm not sure about, but I know they do offer like short courses.
I'm just thinking more long term, so
Yeah.
it'd be like, when you get out of high school, Digby's the place to be to learn to do this, right? Or
the thing that Dan Harvey's doing along with Grant Thornton, they're going to be hopefully investigating some more revenue generating prospects.
I mean, you don't want to be like Burridge campus or anything where you offer everything, but it'd be nice to see that utilized into a specific thing so that.
I guess that boils down to, do you have enough calls or enough people interested in it?
Well, if it's a specific kind of thing, maybe you're going to get people from out of town. Like, I mean, when you're going through, I know when I went to NSCC, you want to be a specific thing, you look who offers it.
I guess anything specific things like that, I guess, are left to NSCC. Gala is more upgrading, or getting you employed or employable.
Suddenly branch them out a little bigger, just that one thing, and then it gets Digby on the map and brings people in too, students from September to June.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to the Digby Area Recreation Commission, Deputy Warden Gregory and Councilor Ross.
Well, our July meeting got canceled, and I didn't know that they canceled it.
You didn't?
So, no.
Showed up?
What was the problem?
Well, what happened was, I was at a conference, and my phone was dead. I didn't plug in the outside, I plugged the phone to a thing that was dead. So when I got there, I rushed back, so I could be time for the meeting, and there's nobody there, so.
Oh, me in the morning.
So by this time, the time I got my phone going again, and I got my message, he said, because we didn't have a quorum, because it was 3, and I said in the past, 3 was a quorum. So they said they had checked and it was supposed to be 4. So that is why, but I was chairing the meeting that night, so it was sort of like, oh God, this is not right here. So anyway, like I told Bob, it wasn't the end of the world, it was just, and it was like any other time, but when you're coming back and so sure your phone doesn't work anyway a lot of the ways. So I didn't know. But the biggest thing I want to say, that they said our July is going very well. The pool is up and running. We've worked well within, because we only have so many lifeguards, because there's not a lot of lifeguards around. So we've been working with some of the younger staff. It's been going well. This first year we're operating the kayak camp at Haines Lake. So, you know, we're going to learn from that experience, hopefully. The recreation manager was pleased to be invited to the planning session with Engage Nova Scotia. They're going to be sending me the minutes where I personally couldn't attend, where I attended the first one. That was a UNSM meeting at the same time. The summer programming and events are going well. Kara Sunderland is doing a great job with that. I will say the Lobster Bash Mud Run went from 25 to 37 people this year. The scooters and helmets have arrived, and they are through a community wellness grant, and so people are going to be able to borrow them at no cost, only on a weekly basis. You just can't have them for the summer. You know, so they are also looking to have another wilderness first aid camp course, and that was very well received last time, and that's hoping to be done this time. They are going to be doing the movie night, but I can't remember when. It's going to be set. Well, it's only going to. Jeff, do you know about the movie night enough? Okay. Just thought you would, kids. I know we were going to discuss it more that night, but I know that he told me it was going to happen. That we will have a couple of outdoor movie nights.
Okay. Did they happen to mention, like, when did they plan on painting in front of the building?
Because we didn't have a meeting?
You don't know.
No, but I actually am trying to meet with Bob tomorrow, because I have a few things that we're going to be discussed at the meeting that I've got to deal with. Yeah. So I will be bringing that up as well at that time, Jimmy.
All right.
But like I said, I wasn't planning on the meeting to be canceled.
No. All right. Any questions? Thank you.
Wait, sorry, one quick one. That you said a movie night. There's a business in Yarmouth that recently bought a inflatable screen for drive-in movies. That might be something worth mentioning for the area rep. I don't think it's very
In
expensive.
Yarmouth?
Yeah, it just started up, and it makes me think, like, geez, wouldn't that be cool? Like,
Say that again.
It might be rented out to community groups and things
Is
like
it
that.
drivable?
An inflatable screen.
Inflatable, sorry.
Drive-in theater.
They did an
Jeff,
article.
Jeff looks like he knows more than
They
me.
did an article in the paper about it here a few months back.
I don't remember.
The dark one isn't that size, but the dark, 2 years ago, purchased an inflatable screen. So
Well, they have
that's how they do them at the
Well, that's
rave,
how
and
we
they
do it in
at
the ball field,
ballpark,
but-
and-
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's not quite as big, but it is a similar concept, so it's more mobile.
Geez, that'd be kind of cool to be able to get that down to the islands, maybe. Or is it out for like fundraisers? How does it work?
Well, no, this is no fundraiser, it's just,
Fundraiser, but for community event.
yeah,
Oh,
dude,
okay.
probably is really fun.
What about like when they do the
The
breaking?
zombie one, we were talking about Freeport.
David.
Oh, we'll watch the zombie movie. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, but David, it might be good for when they do the Breaking Waves Music Festival, to try to do some video ones,
Yeah.
you know? Check that out.
Yeah. That would be, yeah, a great idea.
I gotta tell them tonight. I'm gonna swing by Rick's place tonight, though.
Anything else on recreation?
That'd be perfect for the movies.
Big Area Tourism Association, Council Manager.
We haven't had a meeting.
Busy time for it.
Yeah, probably this time of year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Digby Community, Nova Scotia Health Authority Stakeholder Group. I did have a meeting. I sent you notes on it. You'll have them for when you have your Wayne meeting, but basically the most I got out of it was the fact that they're gonna try to do a better job with communication, and that they're gonna try to develop a newsletter. And Hubert Santamon is supposed to be investigating that. Apparently another district has started a newsletter, so they're gonna try to see how they're doing it. Try to incorporate that here. So, because the key thing is to be able to get factual, accurate information into the community and take away the speculation and actually and have timely information going out. So, if they could do that, they'd be going a long way forward. But to me, that was the biggest thing that came out of that meeting.
As long as they get permission before they publish, they're not allowed to publish anything without the health authority itself giving
Hubert
the
is going to be
okay.
talking to a person from the health authority and try to work through all this, so that's supposed to be being worked on. Just for example, the dialysis unit, trying to let people know, like, they're on schedule as to where they're supposed to be, but I think the perception by the public was gonna be that it was gonna be up and running by now. But that was never the intent on the health authority's point of view, but I don't think that was well communicated at the time. But so they recognize that they've got to do a better job. So at least it's been acknowledged that they have to improve on communication. We're still looking for 2 more doctors for the region. Still don't have a quota where they feel they need to be. The other thing is too that I raised at this meeting is where Premier had made a commitment during the election campaign about allowing single practitioner operations to take place. We asked the question of the health authority if that's something that they were receptive to still, or they've never gotten the information come down from government at that time. At the time of the meeting, they hadn't had that information flow down through to them yet. In fairness to them, there hadn't been a lot of time from the election to when we had that meeting. So, but I'm hoping that they open the doors and they're more flexible. I mean, collaborative model will work, but they can't just throw everything else away. They've got to keep the opportunities open to attract doctors, like, so that if a doctor wants to set up tomorrow in Weymouth, they'll be allowed to do it. So, and they get that message from us at that meeting, that's how we feel about it. Like, and so it was a good meeting, and the mayor from the town, warden from Clare, our MLA, were all in attendance, and same as representation from the Weymouth and Bear River Clinics and the Digby Health Foundation. Any questions?
I was talking to a doctor in Yarmouth who's brand new, just a few weeks, and he described, I asked him how was the process of getting hired, and he described it as a weird dichotomy of they really, really need doctors, but it's extremely difficult to be hired by them, is how he put it. And I was a little, it's just this stuff I don't want to hear, and that was, it's very recent.
Yeah.
I printed this in a few days ago. They say they're looking for doctors, but when you go on careerbeacon.com, they're looking for doctors in Bedford, Halifax, Dartmouth, Eastern Shore, Muscatawbit, Windsor, and the most recent one was for Cape Breton, Bedak.
That, what a good homework on that, buddy. Look,
That's how
it
much
never
they're
ends.
trying. Right there, and that's up to last week, so.
They say they need to communicate better, but maybe they need to be telling us what's accurate better.
got us have copies of that too, because next time we go to a
Communication's
meeting.
fine, there's no miscommunication, they don't tell you the truth.
Exactly.
That's great, because, next time I go to a meeting, I'll raise that, because.
I wanted to bring that up to Gordon too, but then.
I feel like getting that sign
I was
going
gonna
on.
do that this week, I took today off, but I want to show him that too.
Yeah, because they told us at that meeting, it's still 2 more doctors were here,
But they're not advertising.
They're not advertising.
It says, we really need doctors, but we don't wanna hire anybody.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows.
Is it a bottom line thing? Is it, I still have so much difficulty understanding what is the reasoning coming out of that place. Why it's so difficult to get a straight answer, and when they
Oh,
do
we've
get
gone
a straight
through-
answer,
gone
and
through
research it, it's not true.
They're hiring all kinds of staff at the hospitals and psychiatrists and this and that. No doctors.
No doctor.
No doctors. Not this
It's,
Kate Breton put a stink in the paper the other day, and then you see how the next day, Career Beacon put hired doctors.
they put out a big stink about doctors several months ago, and the next day, all of a sudden, they were useful too.
Exactly.
The
I don't know, we
authority.
need the media to look after this,
Or
or.
write a letter saying, why are we not getting
Call
accurate
Chronicle
information?
Herald.
Are
I
we
mean,
being
really,
misled?
you have, I don't know what you need to do with them.
Well, I think one thing, if they open the door up and have flexibility built into their model again, that'll go a long way. It will.
Like I said, it's very difficult to get a job in this area. Very difficult. You can show up with all your qualifications. This guy got hired eventually. Very difficult is how I put it. Use the word very. And here we are again. Yep. Nothing better. Here we are getting wrong news. You guys are being informed things and and then
I will
you
tell
look
you,
into it, it's not accurate.
I want to tell you something else too. I was talking to the mayor last week, and one of the big challenges we have here is good accommodations for the health professionals coming in here. Ben had told me that he had one person that was even thinking about leaving because they couldn't find a good place to live. So, there's not a lot of good rentals in this area, and that's the challenge we face. So, there's certain level of accommodations that they're going to want, and we just don't have it. So,
There'll be some condos going in. Maybe they'll be a help.
apparently, two of the new doctors are going to be going in that building, but
Good.
stuff for professionals
I
around
know,
here.
Yeah, because there's a rumor around that there's only gonna be 2 doctors in September, not 3.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, that's the rumor, I do not know if there's
Yeah, I
any
don't
truth to
understand,
that.
yeah, I don't know how they
Well,
get
there's
started.
Mountain Gap, and there's, Lloyd Longmire's building stuff. I mean, it is in the process. so there
They're
is
full
places-
before they're built.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, go talk to Peter. I mean, I know if there's a demand, he will build it.
Here we are, this
He's got all the room out in Mountain Gap.
That's
so.
what
I think what Ben was referencing, he had someone like last week.
Yeah.
He was actively trying to rent houses, I
Yeah.
know, as of last week, for people that are coming this summer and fall, right? It's, like you said, if we will build it, there's not enough time to.
Yeah.
We definitely have a rental problem for what these, when we've heard that at some of the dinners, or these people they're young professionals that have paid a lot for their education, but they're paid well, they're looking for a certain level
I
of living.
understand
I just last week was all over the villages looking for rentals for professionals. Professionals coming to the island, and there's a bunch of tons of places that are empty and for sale. Most of them don't have septics, and so the banks don't give you loans on them anymore. Starting this year, that's actually going to be a real problem. We're going to have all those 30 empty houses in Freeport. No one's going to move in; they can't get a mortgage. There's some big problems with housing around here, and it's for everybody from one end of the spectrum to the other. It's so hard to find a place.
I just wanted to raise that because it seems to be raising its head right now that it's an issue for us, and hopefully the developers can accommodate it. Next thing is the Bigby Development Agency. We were supposed to have a meeting last week, we didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't pass any motions, but we did have a discussion on signage that we're trying to do for the business park, and changing the name from industrial park to business park. It's broader, so and it's more inclusive. But so Dan's been doing a lot of work on that, and so like I said, we couldn't really go into the meat of the stuff because we didn't have a quorum. So. Question?
Yeah, I just want to get in contact with me to ask about business opportunities for the possible, we may legalize marijuana. Is there anyone I would put him in contact for with, in regards to the business grant? Is there anyone specific?
What, for land?
Say that again?
Yeah, so, well, somebody has been asking me about, potential business opportunities for them in regards to legalization of marijuana. And I'm just wondering what I could.
Contact Dan Harvey, he's the lead contact for the land.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
There is going to be a place opening up in Digby, and it will have a doctor to prescribe marijuana.
Okay.
So you know, it will be done through Skype or whatever they want to call it. But yeah, it is happening.
Also,
No, it will be,
The doctor's gonna be giving a prescription for marijuana?
like, you know, the people will come in, you know, and the doctor will make that decision, but it will be, in the city, he's doing it person to person, but he will do it through, like, Skype type thing. Yeah.
And then the day that it becomes legalized, the model for, this is usually the model.
Well, this is
in
for,
states,
this,
is medical, and then the day it's legalized, they become permanent. So it's a way to get some cash flow going earlier to hold on while you wait for the law.
for medical purposes.
Right now.
Even, yeah, they're still gonna want prescription.
Of course, of course.
Can any doctor do that now, or it has to be a special doctor?
If
you had a private- your own
Any
doctor.
doctor can,
Yeah.
but what they're saying is, people don't have doctors, can't get into doctors, and they're not gonna do it in the ER usually.
No.
So, you know, a lot of people, that have chronic pain, arthritis, are actually, they're using a derivative. It's
They're
a
using
pill,
oil,
a
I
capsule,
think, yeah.
instead of the which doesn't make you high or anything. And, they are using it, but it will be prescribed as well. You know, the doctor will discuss with them what is the best he thinks for that person.
Yeah.
Because it can make a big difference.
I was talking to someone I know, and they're taking, like you said, the pill or whatever,
Mhm.
and it's really changing their life, really.
And actually, I was just here today or tomorrow from the people that are coming in that was talking to me, because they wanted to have a meeting with me, and I told them certainly, but they'll probably be in the town, but they want to talk to me,
Maybe that sort of thing. That's always a good idea.
could be, yeah.
For those guys. You know, there's lots of problems with municipal units in, say, for example, Toronto. So probably within their.
You know, I mean, they may end up coming here, but right now, they just wanna, and I said I would sit and talk with them, and no problem.
Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Digby Harbor Port Association, Councillor Tudor.
No meeting since the last one, but we probably should get one pretty soon.
Okay.
They usually meet very often.
Digby Library Committee, there's been no meeting. Digby Municipal Fire Association, Deputy Warden.
Okay, you've got the March and the May minutes, but today, Sunday night, we had a meeting. And it was to do with, wrong people. It was to be due, with, the group insurance. It affects all 11 fire departments, so you like the way I keep my minutes. I got there and had no paper. What the benefits are, they're going to reduce in cost and increase the potential to stay in business. And if there's a problem, and they can probably be back in business the next day. That's the benefit of this group insurance. Also, full replacement cost of vehicles that are under 25 years of age, which is fantastic. You know, we had a list. They will also, they're going to be looking at it, and actually, one of the providers, or works with the provider, is Frank Cowan Insurance, which I thought was really nice, one of the underwriters. They will be looking at errors and omissions insurance. That's included non-owned automobile liability, legal liability for damage for hired automobiles, property of every description, valuable papers, accounts receivable, extra expense, media, rent, or rental value that's needed. They even have an earthquake and a flood insurance that's included. You know, we thought, or I shouldn't say we, they, I'm just sitting there, thought it was an excellent program. It broke everything down into sections. You know, they went over the general liability highlights, the public entity for errors and omissions. They talked about what happens if I call the fire department, there's not enough firemen to come to help. You know, that insurance is there to help with that, well, because then you have a mutual aid. The other thing that they were talking about is they go with an extra insurance, which is accidental coverage for members. We'll say I'm a fireman and I'm in Digby, but I'm down on the island visiting, and there's a fire call, and I happen to be with one of the guys talking, and he says, Linda, will you come with me? I am covered because I'm a fireman, even though it wasn't mutual aid. That's another benefit that if they want to take it out, which the members were really, really pleased about. The only problem was 3 departments couldn't come. Two were on vacation and one got ill at the last minute for it. It was actually, the meeting went on for an hour and a half, but it was a great meeting, and I will tell you, everybody in the room were abuzz. I mean, wonderful. They think it's the best thing since cream cheese. Good. Linda, you were talked about by Mr. Anthony Conway. So I finally, I put my hand up, and he said yes. I said, excuse me, sir. You are talking about Linda Frazier. I know you're talking about Linda Frazier. I don't know if these guys know you're talking about Linda Frazier. And
Linda, was he?
He just kept saying, and I talked to Linda, and he looked around, and everyone, and I got, no. He talked to Linda Frazier, the CAO. I said, because I wanted to make sure they understood that, because he was saying, you know, like, we're going to do this and this, and how, you know. So, you were spoke very highly of, and how great this will be. They also were saying they are going to be looking at PTSD in this, that you can get up to $10,000 for diagnosis, that type of thing, not anything long term, but it has to be from a fire call. It has to be from a call. It can't be from something else in your life, okay, and it has to be proven.
Some firefighters are first responders too, an accident call.
Yeah, and so it was mentioned because I did say the Bear River. Yes, one of your members mentioned to me how horrific the call was a few days ago, and they don't know if they can ever get it out of their mind, and they never want to see it again.
I saw someone else from Bear River too, a fireman, and he was having a hard time with it.
Well, this one was a female one.
It was a male that I was talking to.
Female too?
No, male.
Oh, I was talking to the female. And, yeah, it was horrific for them. You know, but with this, they also have an $11 million umbrella. So if something happens, everybody has the same. And everybody's treated the same. But you can use up to $11 million on stuff where if it's just me, I can only have my million. And when you start looking at maybe people want to sue or whatever, you have that big blanket coverage. So he was, Arthur Gallagher was there, and they were very, very interested. I was glad I attended, and they want to see this in place if they possibly can by September. That is the goal they mentioned. Doesn't mean it will happen, but I will tell you, great bunch of firemen. I will tell you though, the president is Stephen Savory. The vice president is David McCormick Yeah, David McCormick is also the fire chief of Bear River, just so you know. Sharon White is the secretary, and she's with the Digby Fire Department. Stephen Savory is with the Digby Fire Department, and treasurer is Roy Mullen, and he is the fire chief of Weymouth. And then,
Isn't Daryl Jelf the fire chief in Bear River? Even McCormick. No, Daryl Jelf. He's the fire chief in Bear River.
oh, I thought David
David
was.
McCormick is the vice chief.
Oh,
or
I
deputy
apologize.
chief.
Okay, I thought he was the fire chief. Oh, okay. There's 3 departments that Linda has to look at because of the way their insurance is. Ms. Frank Howell? And they will email you that. Okay. But they all want it. Okay?
Is
So,
it something that they all have to agree to get these rates?
yes, it has to be all 11, is what was said last night.
It's a group buy.
It's a group, yeah. You get these prices, and the prices are 28 to 30% cheaper for every department. That's a lot of money. Oh, I did want to also say Fire Chief Cliff Surratt says there is going to be an opening, hopefully before summer, on the fire department in
Before
Brighton.
fall.
Before fall.
Yeah, before fall, yes. In the summer before fall.
Maybe they
Yeah.
even have firemen in it.
Well, he said, that the invitations will be going out. Like I get one because I'm fire representative, but, it's, really pretty.
Is there any questions on the fire association?
We've been at that for a couple of years. It's nice that we've been able to finally almost sign the paper. It's a shame that that's $80,000 in loss this year, $80,000 in loss last year.
No, it will be prorated. I mean, I take my hat off to them because, they had to do some work and, yeah.
The chair of that he did a great job.
I was impressed last night. I can't talk before, but I was impressed.
One thing that I wanted to mention too, you didn't touch on it, but I talked to one of the fire chiefs the other day, Lee Winslow, and we were talking about, fire department. I'd really like to see us in an upcoming newsletter, run another article in there and try to get people to step forward and become volunteers. He told me he's down to only 11 active members.
Yeah, that was brought up, mentioned. It will be brought up in the next meeting.
Yeah.
But it was mentioned that all the departments.
Oh yeah,
I'd
Yeah. like to see us do an article for all the departments, but this just raised the issue to me that
and what they're
there's
hoping
concerns out there.
if they all decide, or the ones who want it, go with the accidental coverage for members, it can be a 24/7. So that means it doesn't matter if I'm not on duty or working on a fire call, and something happens to me, I will have like $200,000 worth of insurance. For example, they talked about a fire chief up at the other end. If I say Bible Hill, I'm wrong, what the gentleman was saying. He died on a fire call. He had a massive heart attack. He was driving to the call. Anyway, he said he did not have any RSPs or anything, and him and the fire association president there went up, and his wife got a $205,000 check, which she could use.
He's also elderly and had pre-existing health conditions.
And this is saying is someone who is young and has none of this. Is the ideal thing, because it's accidental death, that it's, you can get, I think they said $400 a week if you get hurt, while you're off with this insurance. And it's something like, if I said 75, it's 25. They mentioned an amount, and I can tell you, some of them were saying, this is the best sense. Not that they will or they won't, but they thought that was how it was brought up. It's also a great incentive to help bring youth in. And this is in effect until you're 72 years old, as long as you're a fireman. If you're not a fireman, you can't have it. Or, firefighter.
I'm really glad to hear about the insurance, because the initial conversation, one of the chiefs said that they had no insurance for anybody that who could get injured, and he wasn't worried about it because he'd just sell his house. So this is a little more, a little less ridiculous.
Remember,
I'm very glad to hear that.
That was an extra insurance. That will be up to each department if they want it.
Yeah.
That's an extra.
So
But I can tell you, it sounded very worthwhile.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a desperate situation.
Actually, they were teasing me, and the first thing Cliff said to me is, Linda, you're going to become a firefighter right away?
Well, if you got a heart problem, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. One last thing on that, though, I wanted to mention is when I read the minutes from that, I noted that Wally DeFree
Yeah.
retired.
Yep.
So I think some from our council should go to him because he was the chief for quite a number of years down there.
Oh, 16 years last night.
Yeah.
He was the one that was there last night.
Well, when I read the fire association package there, it said that he retired, and
That's what's happening on Westport with the leadership retiring is going to start happening all through all the rest of the fire departments. They're finding it harder and harder to get volunteers. This insurance should hopefully make it a little more easy, but it's only going to get worse. And I think that the fire departments really have to think about combining. This is going to be not enough people for sure.
but he did retire, did he not?
And last I heard, there was no one to take his place.
Well, I can tell you, he was the one up there last
So
night.
he was there,
Well, that's
so
probably
he's
why he was
retired,
there,
but
but
no one took his place, so he's still going. So I guess he's still
He's
part.
supposed to have retired, so if we can check that out, and if so, I think it'd be really nice if we send him off something in recognition for his services. Okay, we're gonna move on. The next thing on the agenda is the Highway 101 Task Force. That's Gordon Gregory and Councilor Ross.
Okay, we met today, and we had a good meeting. What we went over was the checklist and timelines, and it will be completed, the first phase, by October 2018 from Digby to Marshalltown. All right-of-ways have been acquired. Bore holes have been done. Clearing is going to start the 1st of September. There has been environmental concerns, and that's why they couldn't start until September. They have a tender out on Sealy Brook, and that will put that little bridge in there. The Rail to Trails tender will come out in 2 weeks, or finished in 2 weeks. We're still trying to get on the 5-year plan. Gordon, our MLA, is meeting in 3 weeks with PIR to see where it's going to go. We are going to be meeting in October to push on that plan. Also, clearing will take 2 to 3 weeks in September. There is going to be an access road put in for some people that are across on the Bay of Fundy side, and it's to be used for construction. It's not the new 101 at all. They have boulders that will be coming in that they need. The off-ramp on the right side coming in from Weymouth, they're going to do a lot of clearing and stuff there, just so you know. The big concern also is the high tension wires that are right over there. They have to get them moved, but before they can do that, they got to cut the trees and put in new poles. But before they do that, they have to make sure environment is okay, that they can cut the trees, if there's nothing in the tree, to put in the new poles. Bulldozer will be in building up a subgrade.
What's a subgrade?
That's the ground that they're starting to get ready before they ever
Something
pave.
that won't
It's
settle.
called a subgrade. Beechwood, the area there, the people that are in those homes are allowed to be there till October, and then they will be moving. The paving for the new 101 will not take place till the end of summer of next summer. Now, there was also $750,000 put out for road safety on Highway 101, or Highway 1 as we know it. They have been doing shoulder retrievals. They're going to be doing bush cutting. They are going to be mowing. They are improving the guardrails. They have been, and I think they've completed, fixing up all the driveways going into the road, to the highway. They're going to be upgrading the directional signs. They are also going to have flashing lights at North Range and French Road. They will be amber on the highway.
Okay, yeah.
And they'll be red on those roads, okay, the other way.
Like up near Yarmouth, they have a couple.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly what they mentioned. The other concern was, and that I brought forward, was the roundabout's going to be big enough for the B trains, because it was Bible Hill. I said it in the summer's up, but I was looking. It was Bible Hill that was having trouble with theirs, with the B train going around. And they said it should be. We have so many trucks coming through there, that was a big concern. The other concern that was brought up, there was 3 gentlemen that came in that are concerned citizens, and they were worrying about the speed on the road, and I said, please send a letter, we'll bring it up to TIR, and that was, it's 80 where the school used to be. Also, Gordon brought up, it's a fundraiser, on August 5th and 6th, 2017. On August the 5th, Highway 217, there are going to be a high brush blueberries U-pick, and it's a fundraiser for a group. And August 6th, there on the Highway 101 side, there'll be a high brush blueberry U-pick. And I can't, Linda, do you remember for what I did?
Friends of Alms.
Friends of Alms. So, if you're interested in supporting that, it's wonderful. Rob also came in, and he did a presentation on the Marshalltown Alms House site. Excellent, excellent job. I wish, actually, that we had that little thing to show today. Highway, they can't start mowing the piece on the highway owns until it's been double checked to make sure it's safe to mow. The other piece, Site A, because it's private, they can mow that no problem. But it's Site B that they have to wait on. And the gentleman went in and after the meeting and got Rob's address, just an email to discuss when it could be done. Our next meeting, as I said, will be on October 23rd at 1 p.m. Also, on Site A, there was graves, but on Site B, when they checked, there was no graves. Was there anything I missed?
The roundabouts, they'll start working on those next spring. If anybody's asking, to anything happen, they'll have to win. That's it.
Any questions?
Did they mention, I don't recall hearing you mention the off-ramp. Was there any discussion of that? Maybe you did mention it.
They're not going to do the roundabouts in Marshalltown yet. They're going to be just lead-offs, and then that's in the next phase.
So I will have.
You still have an exit.
You will have.
So instead of stopping completely with the traffic and turning right,
Oh no, there'll be a road going down to go on that road.
So just but you'll be able to drive into it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But eventually, it
That's
will
the
be.
technical term, I think.
It will
Like
become
that.
a roundabout on phase 2.
Linda, that 80 kilometers section through Barton, is that gonna stay 80 once the school signs are taken down?
The school signs are down,
Are they?
and it's right now. It is 80. It's always been 80.
It's still gonna stay 80.
And well, Mr. Bain is going to send us a letter that's going to be brought up for us to take for our TIR to ask Joe Cole about it. I told him, and TIR did say the same thing. In Barton, it's always been, as soon as school's out, it's 80 and 8, because they haven't had evening things. They haven't had, so it's always
been 80. I think
the
big concern is get rid of some of those trees that are around that corner.
And I think it will make a big difference.
And they didn't do that when they were by there, so.
But they will do.
Yes.
So, it was an excellent, I thought it was an excellent meeting. Linda, do you want to make any comments?
No, I think you covered it well.
Okay.
Sounds like though they increased their safety budget by $200,000 because they had only $550 when the last time we met with them. So they
Well,
bumped it up.
it was $750,000 what we were talking about for the road from Weymouth up, yeah.
That's before he could.
But it has nothing to do with stopping.
Now,
Phase
Gordon
two.
emphasized that
Yeah.
it's going through, and I mentioned pressuring the federal government a little bit with this infrastructure money and stuff like that, because, you know, get this thing rolling and put phase 2 and 3 together.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, it's a matter of the province prioritizing that road to be done.
Well, and, so what we have, when we meet on October the 23rd, that's the one thing that we're really gonna be pushing is phase 2. Because if you stop at phase 1, we don't wanna wait, I said I don't wanna be dead when they finish it.
Well, it's taken them what?
25 years.
22, it's been 25 years since the
Yeah.
first meeting.
Yeah.
That they started talking about this. So you don't want another 25
That's
years
what
for
I told
phase 2,
him.
and another 25 years for phase 3. Anyway.
And I will tell you, the Barton people, there were only 3 of them that are here, but there's a group of about several, and that's their concern. They want phase 2 not started, but on the books, starting to show because it all takes time.
I really, to be honest, thought they could have started on both ends and at the same time. Anyway.
I agree, but.
All right, we're going to move on. King's Transit Authority, Deputy Warden Gregory.
Okay, we have a meeting on Wednesday night. I will comment, and you saw from the minutes, our ridership is down, and it's down all over now. I don't know what it's been the last month. We will tell you that the student pass, is working very well. They felt that they had did a lot of advertising with it. But I will say that students are using it for work purposes as well as recreational purposes. It's been great. The general manager also spoke to me. Bus 58 had a problem with it goes up and down. Okay? And it wasn't going down. So they had it up for several days and then brought it back, and then it's going back again. So otherwise, our buses have been working fine. We did have an incident on the bus. A gentleman went into a heavy sleep. And he had, I'm trying to think how to say it politely. He urinated frequently and had several bowel movements, and he was wearing shorts. And it was everywhere. So, they called the RCMP. We met them in Superstore parking lot. And the RCMP called I'm sorry, I'm not saying what was all said. The RCMP called the paramedics because they said they were not touching him. So the RCMP had to go in and sort of wrap him up and take him and put him in the ambulance. And anyway, it really wasn't the man's fault. Yes, he wasn't drunk. But what had happened, he had taken some medication and he had a drink. And that's what the drink did to him. It wasn't that he was loaded, and when he did get outside, I guess he lifted out and started to urinate, and they were telling him he couldn't do that, and he said he had to go. So anyway, I guess it was pretty sad. And then the bus. Well, I'm just saying, they were telling me the bus did then go down. There was nobody on the bus, thank goodness, and they took it to Weymouth, where it was super, super, super clean. And I will tell you, it was more than I would have wanted to claim. But I did want to make that a comment. I thought the staff went beyond their duty, but they did the right thing. They called the dispatch supervisor in charge, then called the RCMP, and the RCMP in turn. Because, like they said, they can't say that they're drunk. They can't say what's the matter. But anyway. Otherwise, they are working well, just so you know, with Transport to Clare, and they're having with those things, they do different things, but collaboration is happening with Transport to Clare taking a group to the bus, and then coming back and picking them up after. So that is happening. And the other thing I did want to mention was, and this was not in our area, it was up the line when the guy had a gun, but he didn't have a real gun. He had a BB gun that he was, which was broken, but it was a pistol thing, and he was taking it back to the Canadian Tire to get his money back, or when it was broken. But someone saw it in his
Great luck there.
pocket or whatever, and RCMP was called, and yeah.
You should have had it in a bag.
Well, you don't put it in your pocket, but
Anyway, well,
but at least it was dealt with immediately. Oh, thank God, and it wasn't real, which was even better. I mean,
for sure.
yeah, but.
On another note, I want to also mention that I was pleased to see that they finally put our stickers on the bus.
Yes, they did, and that was the other thing. He told me he wanted to apologize to us because it was one of those things that was supposed to have been done, and I brought it right up after you had said. Then he showed me, he got the pictures, the things, and showed me, and I said, wonderful, just get them on. And he did want to apologize. It was one of those things he thought was done, and it wasn't. Because when I asked him, he said, well, I'm sure it's done, but let me check. And he went and checked, and he came back full of apologies. And I will tell you, anything that we bring and ask from this meeting, it's looked in immediately. Stephen Foster is doing I think, a great job, and we are working on, as a board, how to improve ridership with staff, not just with us, and taking all recommendations and comments. We think it was sort of a global thing when we were talking to other places. Some of it had dropped down in the rural areas, so we think we're going to see it come back up. It's just one of those things that, because they say we are constantly in our area being used that are needed. That's why they're so shocked that our numbers had gone down.
It goes back to what we talked about when we met with the manager, and it takes perception away of the stigma that it's not good to ride on a bus. Whereas if you go to an urban center, it's standard practice to ride on a bus. Whereas in a rural area, people look at it in a different light.
Yeah,
and,
like my son-in-law had always been brought up with buses.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a driver's license when he met my daughter.
Yeah.
And, he said he never had a need to have a car. And now he has to have a car all the time. And my daughter-in-law was the same thing. She didn't get her driver's license until she came to the rural, because she lived in the city.
Yeah. And it was just a given that you go on the bus.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to move on. Open spaces, Councillor Studer and Ross. No meeting? Okay. Senior Safety Committee, myself, Councillor Manzer, there's been no meeting. Shared Services Committee, myself, Councillor Manzer and Studer, there hasn't been a meeting since the last council. Assessment 5 Fair Society, Deputy Warden Gregory.
There hasn't been a meeting since our last meeting, but we are on Friday. It's Friday, 23rd. Anyway, we're meeting with the Premier to discuss everything that's going on with the biosphere, what our plans are. He's very interested to know what's going on. So I think that's a good step in the right direction, so I will be, attending that meeting with the cleaner.
Okay, good. Transport declare, Councillor Manzer.
We haven't had a meeting yet.
Okay. Skyview Terrace, Councillor Manzer.
Yeah, we had our, June meeting, and I guess the main thing would be the Snell and Stalin house has, really gone down.
Stalin?
Stalin. It has been
Oh, I'm
having
sorry.
a noder problem. And,
Oh.
seeing it's been dry for the last couple of weeks or whatever, it's kind of dissipated. And so they went back to square one, trying to still find this cause of this odor and stuff, so they went back and they noticed some of the grout in some of the tiles was discolored, so they, which wasn't the same in the other foyers or entrance ways and stuff, so they took up some of the tiles, and the floor's kind of got a small crack in it, so there's some leakage of water coming in there, and that's where they're thinking that this smell's coming from this water hanging around.
So they're fixing it.
Well, they're gonna fix that problem. They've been in contact with the engineers about the best way to do that, whether you seal the floor or put the grout back on, seal it somehow to keep everything from coming through. We're in the process of getting some recommendations from the engineers.
Yeah, there's people out there that do that concrete repair work for basements, so you think that they could use the same technology.
Yeah, but, so,
Yeah.
anyway, they're going to the engineers.
Yeah.
See what they suggest, and look at their options. So it does look, it's more hopeful than it was a month or so ago when they couldn't find anything, they thought it was in something in the walls. Yeah.
All right.
So I fixed it.
And I just, once he's finished, I wanna go back.
Okay.
Okay, for transport declare, you didn't mention they're going into their second year of their loony, or Toonie, money to bring in, and then if they pull your name, you get half of the proceeds.
Oh, like the 50-50 draw they had.
Well, yeah, they called it the Toonie draw.
Oh, we haven't had a meeting for at least 2-3 months, so, but.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to mention it, because they're just started their second year, and
Oh,
they've been contacting people.
Well, they have a 50-50 draw every Friday. It's open to the employees, the ridership, anybody that wants, anybody in the community. You pay $2.
I sent them the $104 for the year.
Yeah.
Jimmy, didn't you do it last year?
No, I didn't. I don't
You
remember.
get a number, you have the same number every week, and
Yeah, forever.
if they draw that number and you haven't paid up, then you send them.
Send me the information. So you have it.
Oh, okay, yep.
Anything else on that?
Love to have your money.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Upper Clements Park Authority, Councillor Ross.
We had a meeting last week, things are going pretty good. I had a chance to actually go to the park and see it too, so, a lot of positive things. The lineups are quick, it was easy to get in. They had a comic, group there that day, so it was Jabba the Hutt and Star Wars people. It was really cool. It was like walking. Things are going good. They know what they're doing. They know the areas they have to pick up on is the food services part, their lack of staff, and it was a long time waiting for food when I was there. So they know that. They're looking into stuff. I mentioned, and some other people mentioned, getting into the schools a little bit earlier and promoting to the kids there from grades 9 and up about job opportunities. That way there we get some good students in grade 9 or 10. We've got students that will probably come back in 2 or 3 years. That's where they're lacking. And that would help the food service thing. We were down a little bit in June because of some mismanagement with marketing. That's been resolved. We have a new person now, but because of it, we lost a bunch of money because we didn't promote our 4-person pass deal as much with Groupon. And And what else was it? And it wasn't promoted with the schools. They took the education factor out of, when they were promoting the passes in June to the schools, and it was like, no, school trips, a school trip will only happen if there's an education factor to it. Well, this lady took it out of it, so nobody showed up, so we lost some money there. So.
Was that a new person in that position?
Nope, that was the old person. They have a new person now, so.
No, but with the old person being there, how long were they there?
They were there for a few years, and I don't know why she upped that, but, yeah, I even knew that just because her family and the teaching was great, so. That hurt, but we had a little insight into July, and things will look pretty good, so. They've been very busy. The day I went, there was over 1,000 people there. They had the cadet group there. They had 500 people from the Army Hospital show up, and Children's Wish Foundation. So that Sunday alone, wow, it was nuts. I mean, crazy. But we had a good time. We were there from 11 till 6 o'clock, and we're going back next week. So it's vacation time to take that up.
That's good. Any questions?
Do they have a full staff, full complement of staff, or they?
Well, they're lacking a little bit in the food service part.
Is that because they can't find people to work? Or?
Can't find people to work. That's just it. I mean, people just don't want to work. But, that's where we brought up some suggestions, and we'll look into that for sure. So.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is waste check, Deputy Warden Gregory, Council Manager.
Okay, we just had a waste check meeting. We meet 4 times a year now. The elections of the officers were, oh my God. Our town warden, Anthony, is still the chair. I'm the vice chair. The secretary, oh my gosh. LMUs, thank you, treasurer is LMUs. Then we also, Digby, Danny Harvey was the person for Digby, and Bill Mooney is for Yarmouth. We also went through our for our boards, and Councillor Phil Hood has now come on the, oh my God, our
Just age limit.
human resources, because he feels we are not meeting enough, and he wants it done. Policy is going on as well, with the same people on it. So there was very few changes even on on that. Oh, Jeff, you weren't there, but we knew that you would want to be. So you are still on the audit committee. The same that's what happened to Alan. He wasn't there, and his counselor felt the same way, that I'm sure he wanted. So when you're not there, I hate to tell you, George and I made a decision for you.
I figured I didn't go multiple.
You know, people that have vacation, it sucks. We are also, you saw the waste check connections for April, May, and June, and the minutes as well. The only other thing I wanted to make a comment on, the executive is meeting in September, and that means, Jeff, that you will, if you wish, will be at that meeting, and it's going to be here, and I'll give you the time. Okay? We're going to do all of the audit up at that point and everything, because 4 times a year is too long to go without the executive meeting. Otherwise, it was a good meeting. I mean, we discussed how everything's going, and the bylaw officer with, we do have one lady going off on maternity leave, and I was going to do interviews, but I just got an email as I came in, saying that, Anthony Whelan is still available, you know, so if I want, I could still come, but I don't think there needs to be two of us. So I'm not going if I don't have to. So that would be what I'd say. George, is there anything you'd like to add?
I wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, that's right. You were one of the ones,
I would listen.
yeah. Sorry, it wasn't just me saying, suck it up, buttercup.
Did he get a committee?
No?
Sorry,
I will double
Big
check
bucks,
that.
Jeff, big bucks.
I will double check that, because we did put, there was 2 or 3 that wasn't there. We did put them on committees.
I could throw a suggestion. There's a gentleman who moved to Tiverton recently and drives this beautiful bike. And he got the bike for $2 from the dump in Vancouver. Not the dump itself, but where they collect things. They have a $2 bin. And it's a dumpster, and it redirects things that are, well, this chair's fine, or this table's fine, this bike's fine, that sort of stuff. And he got this $500 bike for $2 from one of those, and I just thought that what an interesting thing that would be.
We actually have seen that in Okotoks.
You've seen that, yeah?
Oh, yeah, and they had a building, and they had to drag me out of it.
I know, that's the sort of building I'd love to go to. I'd be the same way. I love a good dump.
It's a good concept, and
You agree,
they
no?
are, you know, there's which landfill? So far, no, none of them in Nova Scotia have done it, but it is a shame because what the money in Okotoks went for was like to the Children's Wish or different organizations.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, just to clarify, Okotoks, you took your garbage to the site.
Yes.
And you sorted it yourself, and you put it in the separate bins.
Yeah.
We have a central collection system where the trucks come along, pick it up, and away you go.
Yeah.
It's a different
They
system
usually
altogether.
crush it.
They have, you know, so the system they have in Okotoks is great. And it was great for the size of the city at the time. I don't know if it's changed or not, because it continues to grow. But I was in there and toured that facility as well, and it's a really good concept, and it's a nice idea. But the way our collection system works,
You don't think it'd be possible?
Well, see, I'm
The only
wondering
way
about
would
our
be-
public drop-off, but I never.
That was, I think, what it was from.
yeah, but see, if people wanted to get rid of a bicycle and we wanted to advertise and they wanted to drop it off to the public drop-off, that could be an avenue where people could possibly, you know, come along and get a bike.
Well, actually, Garth was trying to get extra bikes and it just did not happen.
Yeah.
What about having, like, if the public drop-off, there could be one, if you think your item is reusable, and this is the free bin, and it would redirect a certain amount of garbage throughout the year as well. And it'd be a nice little,
Yeah, but, you know.
do you think it'd be possible to do that? Like,
Well, I don't want to sound negative.
yeah, I'm just curious.
but Our economy is totally different than Vancouver's.
Yes.
In Vancouver, they're gonna throw away a $500 bicycle and think nothing of it.
Yeah.
Here, they might throw away a $25 bicycle.
Which I would love, 25 miles. That's more my speed.
I guess my point is,
Well, I've been back in there, and they had one of the dumpsters was full of furniture, and about half of it was usable. It might be something worth thinking about. So it might be a little bit of.
That would be something that would have to be done through Jeff and our contractor, who may not want that extra work.
Yeah.
And it,
Couldn't be furniture doors.
No, it has a
They gotta have
roof over top
First of all,
of
I gotta have a building.
that's, but what I'm saying is, it's not part of our contract,
no.
No.
and that's,
Not
Can't
practical
expect-
right now.
This sounds so interesting, and as a,
Oh, I
as a
loved it.
lover of thrown away objects,
go through the garbage, just go through the garbage.
I think a lot of people, they put something out and it goes wrong, that's it.
Yeah, they do
That
that in
happens.
Islands,
Yeah.
even
Like-
by the door.
Like, we put a bunch of stuff out,
Yeah.
a table, my son and
Yeah, culturally, we
daughter-in-law
already have
wanted a
that.
new table, so they put their old table out by the thing. I don't know if someone took it or not, but it's there free, you didn't want it.
Frankie Bills has taken everything I've ever put at the end of my driveway now, so we kind of, culturally have something like that.
Anyway, okay, we're gonna move on. The next thing on the agenda is Western County Regional Library. There hasn't been a board meeting since last council, so I do want to give it one update. I attended a meeting last week. The Library Board Association of Nova Scotia, Coral, which would be similar to the KMA, was and Sam. We had a joint meeting with the Deputy Minister of Community Culture and Heritage, and with her senior staff to talk about the Culture Action Plan, the impact of how that's going to relate to libraries. We talked to her again also about core services for a library, because you got to really nail down what the core service is going to be if you want to tackle the issue of funding. And so there is going to be continuous work going forward with the department and with Coral, and from there we're hoping to lock down. The end goal is to try to get sustainable funding for libraries.
Yeah.
But we've got to get everybody on side as to what the expectation of the core service is.
I know that some places, and I mentioned this before when I worked for them, but I know that some places have a lot of success for library things, like a screwdriver or things like that. Any interest in that?
The problem with that is not a core service. And it costs money to do that.
It brings people in,
But it's not a core, service. So I guess there's no two library branches that are going to be the same. I guess, and the thing is too, there's 7 regions in the province. So as long as all the core services, like you may identify what the core services are, those core services may be all done in one region. It doesn't mean each branch is going to do everything. And so what you mentioned may be done in one branch somewhere, but it won't be in every branch.
I just wonder if focus on core services makes it, I kind of feel like a library is something that is, especially now, has to evolve with the times. And I'm just wondering if there's a conflict between focusing because of the money, of course, it's, Sophie's choice sort of thing. If that, there's any way to, I don't know, evolve for the future at the same time.
Well,
and become more relevant.
I brought that up at the meeting, the fact that we've got to look at open data. We've got to look at other ways of sharing data. And we've got to look at what's going to happen in the next 10 or 15 years going forward. You can't look at today and you don't continue to do things the way you did it in the past. It's like technology's changing, the world's changing.
That's why I was thinking things will bring more people in.
And I'm not ruling out that won't happen in some branches, but it won't happen in all of them. So they just can't afford it. We're going to move on. Western Regional Enterprise Network Liaison and Oversight Committee. There hasn't been a meeting since last council. Weymouth Doctor Recruiting Committee.
Our meeting is July 31st.
Okay. We're going to now move on to council district reports. Start with Councilor Tudor.
Lots of paperwork stuff. I've had 5 people lose their entitlements in regards to writing out their income tax forms. Every single one of them makes anything significant, and it's kind of looks like they're going to be completely without money, with their children, everything for a few months. So I've never had this happen before. But they all have one thing in common. They all did. They didn't do the electronic. They did the paper. I don't know if it's to try to discourage it or they're suspicious of paper. But I had 5. That's never happened before. And other little things. Been busy.
I left my calendar home and I have all my notes and all. I can't remember it all.
I've been to Canada Day celebrations in Weymouth. I've been to breakfast at the Barton Church. I've been checking out the Upper Clemens thing and committee meetings. And keeping in touch with people, taking phone calls.
Okay, something that I didn't know if we wanted to possibly send a letter to was to Claudia Crocker at the Islands Consolidated School. She was our Region 7 winner of the $2,500 scholarship. So I thought perhaps I'd mention that. And the other thing is, even though it was the town's bylaw officer, Richard Perry did receive an award at the annual meeting of the bylaw officers in Moncton for the great service to the association. I just wanted to mention that, but I just was thinking that maybe we should send a letter off to Claudia.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Awesome, that's good.
Okay. Then, I want to make a comment. I took Outlook to the municipality. I don't know if anyone else did, but it was well worthwhile. Working on calendars and colors with the calendars, I thought it was an excellent thing. I also went to the Cherry Festival, Cherry Carnival. I get it out right. And the firemen were very pleased that I attended, because I had let them know that I'd make sure I attended all the functions that I could as their rep. So I attended Digby Neck as well that same day. And they did a great turnout. They both had pig roasts the same night. And I don't know how Bear River did, but I can tell you Digby Neck, overwhelming. The place was full to the gunwale.
He told me.
And they were really, really pleased over that. Just to let you know that they're thinking about doing some changes next year on Digby Neck Day. It just, for the last couple of years, it's been falling at the same time as Cherry Carnival, so you're running backwards and forwards. Then I did attend the journey to Bridgetown as you had requested, and I will say it was excellent. I talked to the organizers. I went around and looked, read. They had a 45-minute video on Ms. Best, who was a champion for Black rights and what she had done in the community. I will tell you, it was so hot, I thought I was going to lay down and die. It was that hot there. They also brought in, which I was very pleased about, they had Mr. Patrick Jarvis, who and his wife for drumming. They had Alfie Bright and his wife for singing. They brought in people from all over. I was talking to the choir that came from Preston, and they had a beautiful and choral group, or as you want to call it. The songs were just unreal.
Where was this held on?
In Shelburne.
Shelburne.
Yeah. Gordon had asked me if I would attend in his stead, and I was so glad I did. It was so interesting. I would tell you, if you get the opportunity, you need to go and walk around and look at that center. It is like, I was there 6 hours probably. It was, like I said, it was just unreal. There was so much to do, and there were, several people there, and like I was being introduced to different people, and they were very pleased that the municipality had come. They, said to say thank you that we attended, so they had sent out the invitation. I also had an interview with Dalhousie. They wanted municipal objectives, economic development, what's happening with community type of thing. And I actually met here with her, and it was a great long meeting. By God, the questions were long, and they wanted really things. And what they were asking was, I don't know how she got my name, but they were looking at people that had been long-term in rural communities, where I was a long-term counselor. They wanted my opinion. So I will say that would be great. Otherwise, I would say it was sort of a quiet time. I did miss the Gilbert's Cove Lighthouse picnic that they had asked me to attend, and I just didn't get there. I couldn't because I was somewhere else. I will say, for summer being quiet, it's not. I am, like you, there's a lot of people suddenly that they're saying their income tax didn't
You get this
come.
problem too?
Yeah, and I am helping people go through and redo and send it in because they're saying that they didn't and they're suddenly being cut off from their the piece.
Yeah.
No.
What guys in
Senior citizen, supplement. And the other that's being cut is their GST. So,
Trudeau box too, for kids, I've heard.
yeah. So, I had one lady that came to me, she had.
Disability, one was disability.
Well, I didn't get a disability, I got only one lady, but I just wanted to bring that up, I don't know, because I heard him saying it. There's suddenly, I'm wondering personally, if there was a glitch with Revenue Canada. Because these people have all swore they sent it in.
Yeah, same.
Well, they've had a lot of problems with their payroll system.
Yeah, the feeding system.
Yeah, oh, that's scary.
One guy's stuff ended up in Newfoundland, and it was supposed to be in Ottawa. And now he's supposed to, I don't know, survive off nothing for the next 3 months while they figure it
Yeah,
out.
I just thought I would mention that, because it's suddenly happening.
I
So,
wonder if this is worth giving, I should give Mr. Fraser a call and say that there's, I don't know what's going on, this has never happened before, but I've had 5 in the last week, week or two.
We split his office now.
yeah,
It was definitely
that's
new.
probably a good idea, I'll do the same.
Yeah, I've never had this happen before, and it's all the most vulnerable people in the entire area.
Well, mine's
Those are the ones
mainly
that are
been
getting
seniors.
targeted.
So,
Is that everything?
that's everything for me.
All right. For myself, I found that this has been a very busy time. I've had to go to Halifax 5 times for the PBSC in the last month. And one of those times, it was to go up to meet, it was the Canadian Directors of Assessment for Canada who's in Halifax. And so we had an opportunity to go up as a board member to meet the different directors. And the reason why I mention it is because I was talking to the gentleman from British Columbia, and he said that any time that they want to find out anything or look at best practice, they look at Nova Scotia. So I was really pleased to hear that. So it goes a long way to see the quality work that's done here. I attended the CBDC AGM. They had a dinner, annual gentleman, Queer Business I wrote it wrong. CBBC or Queer JB Business Development Corporation or whatever. They had their annual general meeting and dinner, and I attended that. On July 1st was a busy day. I went to Smith's Cove. They were having good times days on that day, and so I went to the breakfast at the fire hall. I attended Weymouth Days with Linda and cake cutting. And I went to Bear River that evening for, they had a dinner there that they hosted. I got to tell you what I was impressed about that. I thought it was really nice to see. The Premier was there, Tom Fraser was there, myself and Linda were there, Timothy Vinsky and Michael Gunn were there. Most politicians I've seen in Bear River ever.
And they had us all speak.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when I was sent my letter, it was asked to speak. And it was very well done.
And politicians talk.
The other thing I wanted to make a comment at, was July 1st. We did have our queen there, the Biggie Scholar Queen.
Yeah.
And sorry.
And she was getting, her dress was getting quite messy.
Oh my God, I felt bad for her.
Because it rained. I also attended Cherry Carnival briefly, but what I wanted to mention about Cherry Carnival, I just want to let you know now, give you a year's notice, but next year is the 125th. So when I was up there, I spoke to Gerald Jelf, who's the chief, and asked him if they planned on trying to maybe do something special where it's 125th. And he said, yeah, they're going to start working in September on it for next year. So, I just said, well, put a request in for the municipality and we'll go from there. But at least if you're going to do something special, I think that they need to know that, potentially support them. So I thought that would be good. Because there's not too many community events in Nova Scotia that have been around for that much time. I also wanted to mention that I attended the Engaged Nova Scotia session with down last week. Department of Agriculture, they wanted to speak to the people that are going over to Norway for the Aquanaut conference, and they also wanted to talk to us about, they spent most of the time talking to us about the direction the province wants to go into with agriculture in Nova Scotia right now. And I really like the direction, because what they're going to do is they're going to go out and they're going to determine what a good site is, not the industry, but the government will. Like, will determine what a good site is, and maybe what species could be best, farmed in that area. And then after that, they could do a request for proposal if either there's an interest to develop a farm there. But there is a drive on to move forward with agriculture in Nova Scotia. They see that as being a very, very sustainable industry in rural Nova Scotia. So I'm looking forward to the conference in Norway. I think it's going to be a good conference. What I want to mention to you, though, that I thought was really important is that I found out who was going to be going, who the province invited. There's myself, the warden from Barrington, the warden from Shelburne, and the mayor from Queens, which is good. But what was really impressive for me was that they invited 3 of the First Nations chiefs to go. Carol Potter from Bear River is one of the ones that is supposed to be going. So I think that's really positive. So I'll hopefully have an opportunity to have some good conversations with her over there. So that's all I have to report. So we're going to now take a 5-minute break and then go into